Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to NCI Technologies Microsoft MFA webinar. We're joined today by Molly Rapson from Microsoft. I will pass you over to her to begin the session shortly. For any questions that you have about the session today, either reach out to us through the question and answer pod on the right-hand side of your Teams screen, or drop me an email. My contact details will be on the final screen of today's presentation. Over to you, Molly.
Hi all, welcome and many thanks for joining today's webinar around multi-factor authentication. My name is Molly and I work on the SureStep team at Microsoft, specialising in modern workplace. During this time, I'll be taking you through a deep dive into MFA, what the benefits are and why you would enable this in an organisation. So what is MFA? Multi-factor authentication is an authentication method in which a computer user is granted access only after successfully presenting two or more pieces of evidence or factors to an authentication mechanism. Two-factor authentication helps you access your accounts more securely, especially while you are viewing sensitive information. Passwords can easily be forgotten, stolen, or compromised. Two-factor authentication is an additional security step that helps protect your account by making it harder for other people to break into. You can use the Microsoft Authenticator app in a variety of ways, including responding to a prompt for authentication after you sign in with your username and password, or sign in without entering a password using your username, the Authenticator app, and your mobile device with your fingerprint, face, or PIN, or as a code generator for any other accounts that support Authenticator apps. There are three key benefits to using MFA. It's free and easy. You can create a free account where you can enable MFA and prompt users for additional verification. It protects your identities, so enable MFA to ensure your accounts are 99.9% less likely to be compromised, and use across multiple applications, so provide users secure, seamless access to all of their apps with single sign-on from any location or device. So let's take a deep dive into these benefits. So free and easy. We are all applying security defaults for all license levels, even trial tenants, ensuring every account can be protected by MFA. Baseline policies are also a set of predefined policies that help protect organisations against many common attacks. These common attacks can include password spray, replay, and phishing attacks, which we will talk around in a bit more detail a bit later on in this webinar. So baseline policies are available in all editions of Azure Active Directory. Microsoft is making these baseline protection policies available to everyone because identity-based attacks have been on the rise over the last few years. The ability to challenge users when we see risk led to a 6% decrease in compromise rate. This means that even as Microsoft have had a substantial increase in users, it has meant that Microsoft have had fewer compromised Microsoft accounts than ever before. So protect your identities. Multi-factor authentication is a process where a user is prompted during the sign-in process for an additional form of identification, such as to enter a code on their phone or to provide a fingerprint scan. If you only use a password to authenticate a user, it leaves an insecure route for attack. If the password is weak or has been exposed elsewhere, it is really the user signing in with the username and the password, or is it potentially an attacker? So when you require a second form of authentication, security is increased as the additional factor isn't something that's easy for an attacker to obtain or to duplicate. Telemetry tells us that more than 99.9% of organisational account compromise could be stopped by simply using MFA. The three methods used for Azure MFA are something you know, so typically a password, something you have, such as a trusted device that is not easily duplicated, so this will be your phone or potentially a hardware key, or something you are, biometrics like a fingerprint or a face scan. So use across multiple applications. Single sign-on adds security and convenience when users sign onto applications in Azure Active Directory. Many organizations rely on software as a service applications such as Office 365, Box, and Salesforce for end user productivity. Historically, IT staff needed to individually create and update user accounts in each SaaS application, and users needed to remember a password for each. The Azure Marketplace has over 3,000 applications with pre-integrated single sign-on connections, making it easy to integrate them into your tenant. So here we will look at why it is important to use MFA. So let's look at password strength first. We hear a lot about hackers utilising creative and complex methods of guessing and compromising passwords. The reality is that passwords are usually either very short, are personal to the user, or have a way of being tracked back to end users' personal details. By ensuring that password strength is employed, such as the minimum length, upper and lowercase, and non-repeated, this reduces the risk of hackers' brutal forcing a password. Next is the time-saving element that comes with not having to change your password at set times of the year or month. So over time, users will recycle passwords and often use the same password on multiple devices. By utilising MFA, you may not be able to stop users using the same password on multiple accounts, but you can minimise the risk involved if they do so. And then finally, the password is usually the last line of defence against hackers accessing company or personal data. By layering your security, utilising MFA, you can make sure that this is the last line of defence that isn't reached or required. So even if a hacker guesses your password, they will be unlikely also known other things about you or your users required to bypass MFA. So to sum this up, MFA is a low effort, low cost method of ensuring those that wish to access your data maliciously cannot do so. So there are many different types of MFA. It's not just email verification. It comes in other forms such as Windows Hello, which is in Windows 10, and Windows Hello for Business, which replaces passwords with strong two-factor authentication on PCs and mobile devices. This authentication consists of a new type of user credential that is tied to a device and uses biometrics or PINs. Windows Hello addresses the following problems with passwords. Strong passwords can be difficult to remember, and users often reuse passwords on multiple sites. Severe breaches can expose symmetric network credentials, such as your passwords, and passwords are subject to replay attacks. Users can inadvertently expose their passwords due to phishing attacks as well. Then we have hardware tokens. Automatically generate a one-time password based on open authentication standards from a physical device. Then we've got the fast identity online. So sign in without a username or password using an external USB, near-field communications, or other external security keys that support fast identity online. Text or voice authentication. So receive a code on your mobile phone via SMS. An SMS is sent to the mobile phone number containing a verification code. Enter the verification code, providing in the sign-in interface to continue. Voice call can be aggravating the security of your passwords. An automated voice call is made to the phone number you provide. Answer the call and press hash in the phone keypad to authenticate. So next we're going to have a look at the phishing attacks. Phishing attacks attempt to steal sensitive information through emails, websites, text messages, or other forms of electronic communication that often look to be official communication from legitimate companies or individuals. So there are various types of phishing attempts, such as spear phishing, which is targeting phishing that involves highly customized lure content. Whaling, so attacks that is directed at high level or senior executives within a company. And a business email compromise. So this involves getting access to a company network through spear phishing. Social media is being an ever more present way of obtaining personal information. So how many of you have seen quizzes on social media based around your favourite colour, your birth month, or let's say find your elf name? These are the kind of questions attackers will gain and will ask to gain access. Official statistics indicate that 1 in 99 emails are phishing attacks, which amount to 4.8 emails per employee in a 5-day week. MFA helps to protect against phishing attacks in the instance where an attacker gains access to someone's credentials. It is unlikely that they will have the necessary information to be able to bypass MFA. So Microsoft has recently moved to become a leader in both endpoint protection platforms and unified endpoint protection management. So over a period of just 3 years, Microsoft has gone from just being a challenger in security to being an industry leader. Every year, Microsoft invests more than $1 billion in security, and with EMS now leads the way alongside other household names such as Symantec or Kaspersky. This is where the Microsoft Intelligence Graph comes into play, gathering data and intelligence from over 200 cloud services. Over 6.5 trillion threat signals are analysed every day, with 470 billion emails. 5B threats are detected each month on every device. Microsoft isn't being reactive to threats, we're being proactive. Microsoft Security doesn't just defend against an attack or a virus, it analyses it to produce ways to combat in the future too. With this slide, we're not just trying to throw large numbers at you. What we're trying to make you understand is that Microsoft has hundreds of services and we're analysing the data and the signals from all of them to prepare for cyber threats, viruses, and more. This is one of the primary reasons 90% of Fortune 500 companies use Microsoft for their enterprise security, because our data gives us that edge. So activating MFA isn't difficult. The steps are as follows. You sign into the Azure portal using an account with a global admin permission. You search for and select Azure Active Directory, and then you choose security from the menu on the left-hand side. Select conditional access and then choose new policy. Enter a name for that policy, such as MFA pilot. Under assignments, choose users and groups, then select users and groups radio button. Check the box for users and groups and then select to browse the available Azure AD users and groups. Browse for all and select your Azure users groups such as MFA test group, and then you just select. So the call to action is review your current security postures. You try passwordless, so implement MFA into your organisation and utilise relevant support documentations to quickly and easily enable MFA into your organisation. So I'm now going to hand back over to James for your next steps.
Thank you very much, Molly, for today's webinar. We'd really appreciate it. I would like to thank everybody that has taken the time to come to today's webinar as well. For those of you watching this on YouTube as a recorded event, I'd like to thank you for also taking the time as well. So your next steps, as Molly said, is to start to evaluate your current security posture or your current security stance. Here at NCI Technologies, we are more than happy to have a meeting with you either in person or via Microsoft Teams to actually run through your exact and specific requirements and how Microsoft MFA can help you. My contact details are currently on the screen, so please do feel free to reach out to me using my email address, which is jscott@ncitech.co.uk, or phone 01326 379 497. Many thanks. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A pod on the right-hand side of your screen.